Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Berry Dakara and welcome. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and I want to say thank you for coming and clicking on to see what I have to talk about today. My name is Berry Dakara. I am a lifestyle blogger and I blog at www.berrydakara.com. Should I say I'm a lifestyle blogger or like a personal blogger? It kind of like is in between, but I blog at www.berrydakara.com and I am on social media at Berry Dakara, so please follow me and also subscribe to this channel, please. I have committed to putting up videos at least twice a month, at least twice. In today's video I want to talk about my 12 tips for traveling with a baby slash toddler. I say baby slash toddler because I've been traveling with my child. Her name is Coco and she is now almost 16 months old, and I've been traveling with her since before she turned 2 months old. I think she was like 6 or 7 weeks old the first time that we traveled with her. That was a road trip from Atlanta to Florida, and then she's been on another road trip. That was this year. We traveled to Tennessee and she's flown with me quite a bit. The first time was when she was 7 months old. We flew to Detroit from Atlanta. The second time was a month later when we flew to Nigeria to visit my husband. We were there for 1 week. Then a month later we flew to Dallas to visit my friend. Then a week later we flew to, where did we fly to? We flew to New York for my cousin's wedding. And then let's see, we just got back from another trip actually. The last week of September we went on a week-long cruise with my whole family, like my parents and my siblings. Coco also was on that trip. It was 7 nights. We flew to Fort Lauderdale in Florida to get on the ship, and we hit 3 countries. We hit Nassau, Bahamas. We went to Cozumel and Costa Maya in Mexico, and then we went to Roatan in Honduras. So my Coco Bean is pretty well traveled and I don't see us stopping traveling anytime soon. So today I just want to share my 12 tips for traveling with a baby. Tip number 1, use a packing list as a guide. The very first time that in fact almost every time that I travel with Coco, I go online and I Google packing list for baby. You're looking for travel checklists for like a diaper bag. I have one of those on my blog, so you should check it out. You're looking for packing lists for your checked luggage, depending on how long it is that you're going to be traveling for. The reason why you want to use a checking list is so that a week or 2 before your trip, you're already taking things off and packing them up bit by bit, so that you're not like frazzled and forgetting things. I typically like to be done packing at least 2 or 3 days before my trip. Definitely want to be packed as early as possible. Don't leave everything to the last minute because you might forget some things. Tip number 2, make sure that you have all your travel documents ready. Depending on if you're traveling, out of state, or if you're traveling by flight, you may need to have a passport for your child. Obviously, when we were traveling internationally with Coco, she needed to have a passport, and depending on where you are from, you want to make sure that you have a long window of time before you travel. So get their passports as early as possible. Definitely want to check your country's passport requirements and the length of time it takes to get a passport. Then you also want to travel with your child's birth certificate. A lot of airlines ask you to have your birth certificate handy. You can either travel with a copy of the birth certificate or travel with the original one, but make sure you hold it tight. You don't want to lose that document, okay? And also, doctors recommend that you travel with your child's immunization records, just in case wherever it is that you're traveling to wants to see the immunization record. So I always have that with me. Tip number 3, you want to pack extras and pack medicines for emergencies or just in cases. What's funny about that trip to Nigeria was I actually ran out of diapers a day or two before we were scheduled to leave, because I had packed just enough diapers for our 9 days stay. What I didn't pack for was emergencies, and guess what happened? Coco started having a running stomach, which means that the diapers that I had that were just enough ran out. And a day or 2 days before we were supposed to leave, there I was scrambling around Lagos looking for diapers for her. In that same vein, you also want to have medicines for just in case. So like you want to have ibuprofen for the child if in case they get a fever. You want to have diaper rash cream for just in case they have a diaper rash like we did. If your child has eczema, you want to have their medicines and all that. So definitely talk to your doctor and find out from them what they think you should travel with, because they know your child's health history, medical history, so they will be better able to tell you what you should travel with. Tip number 4, make sure you pack enough snacks and enough food and enough water for the child. If you're breastfeeding, you don't need the extras. If you are not exclusively breastfeeding, you want to have enough formula for your child and enough snacks depending on how old the child is. You want to have enough in your diaper bag or your carry-on, and also enough in your check luggage, because that was something else that also happened to us. Was we ran out of her formula when we traveled to Nigeria, because we got there and she typically would eat a lot of things. When we went to Nigeria, she was about 9 months old. She typically would eat a lot of things, but for whatever reason she didn't want her baby food. She just wanted to have her cereal and formula. So I very quickly ran out of formula, and unfortunately I could not find the same formula that we use here in Nigeria. So that was a problem for us. So make sure you have enough food and enough water. And when you get to wherever it is that you're going to, it's better to buy bottled water, because you know they're children and they're babies, and you want them to have as I guess pure water as possible. Tip number 5, have a baby carrier with you. And the reason why you want to have a baby carrier is because sometimes you may need to have your hands free, like if you're looking through like passport documents or whatever, you need to have your hands free at those times. And even when you're going through like security, you want to have your hands to be able to, you know, fold the pushchair or the stroller or the car seat or whatever it is. So it's advisable to have a carrier with you when your baby is still, you know, little, and if they're still crawling or whatever. When they're walking, you may not necessarily need it, but I guess you can have it just in case. Tip number 6, this is something that I like to do, is change the baby. If you're flying, change the baby before you board the flight. For me, it just gives me a little bit of comfort and security, because you don't know, I mean, obviously they should clean the airplane bathrooms before you get on, but sometimes the changing table is like too small, or it's just really hard to be in there. So just, if you can, I would change the baby before you get on the plane. It just makes them a little bit more comfortable before you fly. Tip number 7, if you're on a long haul flight, that's if you're traveling for a few hours, if you're going flying internationally, ask the airline early enough for bulkhead seating, because they'll be able to provide you with a bassinet. If your child is still very little, they'll be able to provide you with a bassinet for your baby to sleep in, which gives you a little bit of time and a little bit of comfort if your child sleeps easily in the bassinet. I think the weight for the bassinet is about 22 or 23 pounds. I can't really remember, but when we traveled to Nigeria, I had bulkhead seating on both flights. It's usually like in the middle of the plane, and it's the first seat. And guess what, so that also gives you a lot of leg room as well, so think about that. Tip number 8, make friends with the flight attendants. Why? Because those are the ones, they are the ones who they have lots and lots of resources, and they'll be able to help you on your flight. So usually when you're traveling with a child on the plane, you get to board pretty early. Once you board, make eye contact with all of the flight attendants that you come across, and introduce them to your baby. Say, oh hey, this is my baby, this is Coco, she is 6 months old, you know, it's her first flight or it's her 10th flight, whatever it is. Just make sure you have some kind of camaraderie with them, because they will remember you, and they'll, anytime they walk by, they will ask you if you want something. So if you need any extra water, if you want hot water, if you need extra snacks, so they will ask you if you want a pillow or a blanket. Trust me, it will come in handy. Whatever you do, make sure that you are polite, courteous, and friendly to the flight attendants, because that will be in your benefit and your child's benefit. Tip number 9, make sure you arrive early at the airport. You don't want to, here's the thing, you're traveling with a baby, which means that you have probably a car seat and a stroller, and then you have your bags. Getting through secure, first of all, traveling with the baby makes things a little bit slower for you. Then you're going to go into security, and you need to dismantle the stroller, and you need to take out the car seat, and you need to do this and do this and do that. You want your trip, even before you've taken the flight, to be as stress-free as possible. So get to the airport as early as you can. Sometimes 3-4 hours, that's fine. If once you've crossed security, you can even go find, you know, food or drinks or whatever it is, and, you know, have some downtime before you board your flight. If you are driving, if it's a road trip, try to leave as early as you can. My sister likes to travel, when she goes on her road trips, she would leave the house, I think around 5 or 6 a.m. because her kids are still sleeping at that time, and she knows that she has at least 2, maybe even 3 hours of sleep time, and she can just drive straight through. Because guess what, once they wake up, mommy, I want McDonald's, mommy, I need to go pee pee, mommy, I need to go potty, mommy this and mommy that. Try to give yourself a good range of time for your trip. Tip number 10, if you are flying internationally, it depends on you. When we traveled to Nigeria, I chose to fly direct because, I mean, it was a 13-hour flight, but I wanted to know that once I got on the plane, that was it. And I knew that wherever we stopped, that was it. There was no stopping in between. Other people are different. They would rather have, you know, a stopover. Like if you're going from, let's say, yeah, Atlanta to Nigeria, they would rather stop in Europe for a few hours, you know, shower if they can, or, you know, freshen up or something. That's up to you. I personally want to get on the plane one time. I don't want to stop here and stop there, whatever. That's just my personal opinion. It's up to you. Tip number 11. This one I saw online was to travel closer to bedtime if you're traveling with a baby or a toddler. I guess this would be for like the international trips or maybe even road trips, because your child is more liable to be sleeping throughout the flight or throughout the drive. It depends on you. For me, it just makes things a little bit easier. Me, I was lucky because the flight to Nigeria from Atlanta leaves at 10 p.m. our time. So she was more prone to sleeping for more time on the flight, and I was able to sleep as well. Tip number 12, relax and take it easy. Traveling with a child can seem a little bit daunting and it can seem a little bit stressful, but the truth of the matter is, if you have everything that you need ahead of time, and if you like I said, get to the airport early, and if you make friends like with the attendants and everything, then you have some help on the way, and you'll also be a little bit more relaxed. And those are my 12 tips for traveling with a baby / toddler. I just completed a series on my blog, Traveling with the Baby, so please check it out. There are 4 posts. Check them out, and thank you very much for watching this video. Again, check out my blog. It's at www.berrydakara.com. Follow me on social media at berrydakara, and I love you. Mwah. Oh yes, and subscribe, please. Subscribe. Mwah.